I mean, Jamie Dimon was all like, we should ban all crypto when she was with Elizabeth Warren. Personally, I'd take that action if I were in charge. The reason for this is because commercial banks such as JP Morgan aspire to be the ones responsible for issuing deposit tokens, dollar pick coins, or any other type of stable coin. They intend to involve the Tether crowd, Paulo, and the rest of those individuals. None of these other businesses should do it. According to them, it makes perfect logic. I agree, indeed, the same algorithms that make a bank-issued stablecoin programmable and surveillable also make a hypothetical CBDC programmable. However, they are having a lot of trouble with this one-to-one reserve issue, for the simple reason that the bank needs fractional reserve goods in order to keep their casino running. They have no plans to alter their current business model to accommodate it. Also, bear in mind that while you're thinking about things like state-specific, it's clear that Wall Street banks will dictate the central bank's stance on digital currency, given that they dominate the bank. I believe the Fed has been hesitant to say, yeah, we're going to do a CBD, and there's a good reason for that. You see, they've been quite vague and uninformed, leading some to believe that the Federal Reserve is actively working to demonize CBD. Well, that's not the case. Whitney Webb warns that big banks like BlackRock may not be acting in an altruistic manner when they join the Bitcoin market. Some prominent personalities, including as Jamie Dimon and Elizabeth Warren, have recently come to light for their calls for strict government control or outright ban of Bitcoin and stablecoins. Institutions like JP Morgan, who represent the old financial sector, want to keep control of the world, therefore this attitude is not unusual. Some have speculated that CBDCs, or digital currencies issued and managed by central banks, might be the key. This feud is emblematic of a larger power struggle inside the realm of digital currencies, as the ambitions of Bitcoin and blockchain technology enthusiasts battle with those of established financial institutions. This disagreement is about more than just digital currencies. It also involves the core ideas of financial independence, control, and monitoring that underpin the current cryptocurrency environment. At the video's conclusion, Webb promises more details on upcoming advances in 2025. Additional considerations. Keep in mind that the Department of Justice currently owns a ridiculous quantity of Bitcoin, and that number is likely to grow. So similar to Binance, a large number of DOJ members have access to all previous and future transactions on that exchange. Is there a plan B in case they start confiscating wallets retrospectively after flagging past transactions? I see. Indeed, they are capable of doing it. I believe that the assertion that Bitcoin is being used to fund terrorism has grown significantly since October 7th, as has a lot of the other stuff that I've been warning about for a long time. Furthermore, there are efforts to impose regulations on the basis of that, as if it were a matter of national security. More Department of Justice seizures, especially of Bitcoin, are likely to result from it. Therefore, why does the Department of Justice care so much about a community? Let me tell you, it's a huge part of the U.S. government. For example, the U.S. government has a general interest in amassing a large quantity of Bitcoin and keeping it hidden. Also, using a variety of rather nebulous indicators, they basically created national security grounds to seize Bitcoin from anyone they wanted. As I've mentioned previously, the Department of Justice is on board with this World Economic Forum group that seeks to criminalize and sanction the seizure of domains and assets belonging to individuals who are suspected of spreading false information on the internet. Oh, I see. Of course, that's the case for everyone here. Ultimately, the DOJ may ask, why are they setting up that system? In response to the question of how wide a net they intend to cast, understand what I'm saying. Furthermore, it should be remembered that the SEC's Gary Gensler has been quite clear for some time, now that Bitcoin is the only digital currency that the SEC regards as a commodity. If you ask Gary Gensler, everything else is just a safety net. As they shift their focus to digital currencies, they intend to treat that status, which is quite unique as a commodity, and they want to accomplish just that, using it to further their own interests. Furthermore, I find it incredibly naive to believe that they would refrain from doing that. In terms of this change, they were, of course, involved. As a quasi-CBDC, a stablecoin controlled by commercial banks, what is their current position in relation to their plan? In your opinion, how far will it be until they can bring it to market? It's an excellent question. The report mostly centers on a specific network that Fluent Finance collaborated with. You know this CF Dell Tech thing? They're kind of connected to the XTC or whatever. What about R3, the network? On a global scale, R3 is developing CBDCs, however. They're not limiting themselves to CBDCs. In fact, they're using a broader net. They have an accelerator for digital currencies. In addition to CBDS, deposit tokens and stable currencies are essentially their areas of interest. People are worried about the effects of CBDCs on personal freedoms, especially when it comes to money. But any entity, be it a bank or a central bank, can experiment with their digital currency in a sandbox setting and add features like programmability. Therefore, they have developed all these instruments to, expedite the process. Ultimately, I believe the question boils down to something similar to trust and adoption. This is something I've been writing about since 2020, and I've mentioned it in a few interviews recently. First, the way in which the world's largest banks and central banks, including some of the most influential ones, were involved in a partnership with the World Economic Forum and the Carnegie Endowment, an organization that was overseen by the current director of the Central Intelligence Agency, in what amounted to a game of financial cyber or cyber assaults on the financial system. Not many people are aware of this, but every major bank in the United States has an ISAC, an information sharing and analysis center where the chief information security officers, ECOSOs, meet behind closed doors to discuss potential systems, threats, and formulate responses. For example, since 2021, every single Wall Street bank has had a cohesive strategy for dealing with a major cyber attack. You wouldn't want to be held responsible when people get furious because their money isn't worth anything. They were the largest bank, the same ones who caused the 2008 financial crisis, and you knew that another banking catastrophe was coming. I don't understand how you managed to avoid that. Occupy Wall Street was an unsuccessful movement. In my opinion, I believe that's very obvious, isn't it? Therefore, what is the best way to circumvent that? The idea is that the financial system was compromised by anonymous hackers, and that it is necessary to reintroduce it with these improvements to make it more safe. As part of this larger story to you about Bitcoin and its role in financing terror transactions and such, there is a parallel effort to abolish internet anonymity and financial privacy. As a result, we will know who everyone is. Banks and the government may monitor even the smallest transactions, as little as $1.50, because of Know Your Customer procedures and the connection of digital and government-issued IDs. Therefore, until there is an unforeseen incident that produces widespread panic, people will not be willing to go ahead and implement that system. The World Economic Forum, which oversees this collaboration, and the banking industry have probably planned for a massive cyber attack. So I expect it will be consolidated into a law similar to the Cyber Patriot Act. The financial institutions and intelligence organizations involved all claimed it would occur prior to January 2025. Privacy will be the enemy if and when this massive cyber attack that they're preemptively scripting occurs. They'll complain that they can't have any privacy at all. That's the line they intend to use. I can assure you of that because it's their sole means of imposing all their desired policies, practices, including digital ID, on the general public. Specifically, all of your financial transactions and everything else you do while on the internet will be fully observable. People have been making a valid argument that digital IDs and CBDCs are kind of like, they go together for quite some time. With both, you're set. It's not like picking one at random.